Hi everyone, Barbara Drazga here, aka the Deal Diva, and today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest questions people have when they first start a small business or they reach a point in their business where they just can't do it anymore. They're overwhelmed and they realize that it's probably time to start hiring somebody. But the biggest question they have is, well, how can I afford a VA? And then the second question is, what should I outsource first? So to answer the first question, my friend Nathan Hirsch has created a tool, which is a free calculator that you can go download at howmanyvas.com. That's howmanyvas.com. And you can download that tool. And in this upcoming video, he's going to show you how to use it. It just takes a couple of minutes to punch in a few numbers, and it'll tell you exactly how many virtual assistants you can afford in your business right now. Go download the tool. Again, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/dealdiva, DEALDIVA. And you can also hit the subscribe button on the YouTube video below and click that little bell so you get alerts every time I pop out one of these videos. So enjoy the tutorial of how to use the VA calculator tool. And remember, go over to howmanyvas.com and download that tool for yourself. It's free. Talk to you soon.
This is Outsource School's VA Budget Calculator. Now keep in mind, I am doing this on Google Docs right now. You might be downloading it in Excel. It might look slightly different, but it's going to work in exactly the same way. The biggest thing to remember as you're going through this is only edit the cells that are light blue. If you edit any other cells, they are formulas, you might mess them up. Obviously, if you are advanced in Excel, if you understand Excel, go for it. You can tweak it however you want, but for those of you that are not, please only touch the cells that are light blue. Not dark blue, just light blue. Now, going through this activity, as you can see at the top, we want you to understand the numbers in your current business, factoring in anyone that you've already hired, any full-time employees, any VAs you've already hired, things like that. We want you to be able to figure out how aggressive you want to be when it comes to hiring. You'll be able to see below that you can change that percentage, so you can see what it looks like if you are investing 40% of your net profit, what it's going to look like if you only invest 10% of your net profit. So you'll be able to tweak that and get a better understanding for how many virtual assistants you can actually afford. We want you to look at what your budget is for additional virtual assistants, which will show you how many virtual assistants you can afford either right now or going forward, because even though Free Up, our last business, had 35 plus full-time VAs, we didn't just wake up one day and hire 35 people. We had a plan for hiring more, and we started small, 2 part-time, eventually made them full-time, then added another full-time. You can see all that in our case study. But if you know how many you can afford in total, then you can create a plan. Hey, I'm going to hire 1 this month, 2 next month, whatever it is. Now, as you can see in the assumption here, right here, a normal virtual assistant from the Philippines is going to be in that $5 to $10 an hour range. I've hired some really great VAs that are around $5 an hour, and I've hired some that I started at 5 that I've given raises to that eventually made 20 plus an hour as team leaders or assistant team leaders, and I've had some that are in that 7 or 8 or 9 range. So usually 5 to 10 is a good ballpark, maybe 5 to 8 if you're just getting started. And what you can see here as you go to the first light blue box is you're going to put in what rate you're assuming that you're going to pay. This is one of those cells that you can edit. I'm going to start with the number $7 an hour. And even though I can get really good VAs at $5 an hour, making it 7 gives me a little bit of a buffer. What if I want to give them a raise? What if they work 45 hours a week instead of 40? What if I'm interviewing 4 different VAs and the one that I really like really wants $6.50 an hour, is used to getting $6 an hour from other clients? I like to avoid lowballing virtual assistants. I want to give them a rate that they're happy with or not hire them at all. So this gives you a little bit of wiggle room. The last thing you want to do is budget everything out at $5 an hour and see that you can hire 1 full-time VA, but the VA that you want to hire is a little bit more. So factor that into your budget. Next over here is a chart. So if you hire a VA at $7 an hour, it's going to cost you $70 a week. It's going to cost you $280 a month and $3,640 for the year. And you can see I put here 10, 20, 30, 40. You can see what the difference is if you hire them part-time versus full-time. Now, this blue box right here is the box that's going to affect everything below. If you look at row 25 down, that's all affected by this blue box right here. That's why the number 40 is a little bit bigger. So if I want to go in here and change it to 45, that's going to affect the numbers below. If I want to change it to 50, same thing, it's going to affect below. So I'm going to set this at 40. 40 hours a week is what a lot of people consider full-time. We'll talk about this in the next session when we talk about virtual assistants, but sometimes VAs in the Philippines tend to work 50, 60 hours a week. That's not out of the question. And if you're hiring a VA for 40 hours a week and they're just going to go out and get a part-time client for 10 or 20 hours to fill their extra time, you might want to consider just hiring them for that extra 10 or 20 hours and getting the most out of them so they don't go out and get another client. So you can see here, depending on what rate you put here, that's going to affect the amount that you're paying per week, per month, and per year. Now, if you go down even further, this is where you're going to put in the net profit that your business makes every month. I recommend taking an average. So whatever your net profit is for the past 3 months or 6 months or 4 months, whatever you want to use, keep in mind that businesses sometimes have peak seasons or low seasons. So figure out what you normally make net profit. Be a little conservative there. I always like to be conservative whenever I'm dealing with financials. And put that number right in here. And that's going to give you your yearly net profit, which you should understand for your business, regardless of whether you're hiring virtual assistants. Now, this net profit is after you've already paid all expenses. And those expenses include other virtual assistants, other employees that you have. If you have other VAs, let's say you have 2 full-time VAs, you're paying those before you get down to net profit. So this should really be the bottom line of what your business makes after you've paid all of their expenses, all other people, because we now want to say, hey, this is how much we're making, and now what percentage of that are we going to invest towards new hires, new virtual assistants, new people for the team. And when you get to number 25, or 28, you're going to be able to change the percentage. Again, another light blue box where you can put in how aggressive or how conservative you want to be. I've mentioned a few times that with FreeUp, we tend to be in that 20 to 30%. So 20 to 30% of our net profits we would reinvest into hiring. We saw hiring and we believe that hiring is a great way to expand your business. So instead of putting that money in our pocket, we would look towards, hey, we now know that we're going to spend 25% or 30 or whatever it is into hiring. Now, where can we put that money to best use? Is it a VA? Is it a bookkeeper? Is it a social media person? Whatever it is, but we needed to know how much money we had to play with. So I'm going to put 25% here. Feel free to adjust it. Again, it's a range. I like to go a little bit over, so I'll say 30%, but if one month it comes in at 28 or 25 or 27, I've already accounted for that because I put 30. So I'll start this at 25, and I'm going to go through a few examples of a small business, a medium business, and a large business as well. So how much can you spend on hiring? That's going to show you, that's essentially taking 25% of your net profit, and it's going to show you, hey, that means you can spend $576 per week, $2,500 per month, or $30,000 for the year. And if you do some quick math here, $30,000 for the year and a full-time VA for $7 an hour costs about 14.5. Then that's going to get you 2 virtual assistants and 2 full-time virtual assistants. And you can see right here, this is a dark blue box, so don't edit it. Only edit the light blue boxes. And you always want to round down because you can't hire part of a person. However, let's say this said 2.9. What that tells you is you can hire 2 full-time VAs and potentially a part-time VA at 20 or 30 hours a week. So by putting in these numbers, it's going to tell you how many VAs you can hire. Again, if you change this box right here, let's say I make this 20, it's going to tell me I can hire 4 part-time VAs. If you want to diversify, and if you've seen any of my content, and we'll talk about this more a little bit later too, if I'm going to hire a customer service rep for 40 hours a week, no one works 365 days a year. No one doesn't take vacations or anything like that. So I might hire 2 people at 20 hours a week instead of 1 person at 40 so they can cover for each other, and then later on I can increase their hours. So this lets you play around with that. So let's go through a few examples. I'm going to start off with a smaller business. Let's say a business that isn't making a ton of money now, but the owner is swamped with work and they want to see how many VAs they can afford. I'm going to set this for $650. let's say the person knows that they don't want to pay $7, they want to stay on the cheaper end, they're going to try to get someone for $5, but they're going to go in $6.50. I'm also going to say that this person has a lot of work that needs to be done, and they want to hire someone for 45 hours a week. And let's say that they make about $8,000 a month in net profit, which comes out to $96,000 a year. Pretty good business, making almost 100 grand a year. Let's say they're in year one or something like that, year one, year two, and they're just getting started. They're a solo entrepreneur. Now, this shows that they can hire one full-time VA for 45 hours a week. Now, if they wanted to, and they wanted to hire one person for 60 hours a week, that still works. They're still able to hire that person because when you round down, that's still more than one. If they wanted to hire a few part-time VAs, they could actually hire 3 part-time VAs, 3 VAs for 20 hours a week. So now you understand how this works. If I wanted to mess with this a little bit more, let's say that they wanted to pay a little bit more and it's $8 an hour, but they just wanted to pay 40 hours a week, they could still hire one full-time VA for 40 hours a week at $8 an hour. Now, let's look at a slightly bigger business. Let's say the business doesn't want to pay $5 an hour, they want to pay a little bit more to get a better virtual assistant. They hire someone for around $8 an hour. Let's say they want to maximize, they're going to hire someone for 55 hours a week. And let's say that they're making $25,000 a month in profit. Pretty good business. That's $300,000 net profit for the year. And they're hiring VAs for $8 an hour and for 55 hours a week. They can hire 3 full-time virtual assistants. If you lower that to 40 hours a week, that's going to get it over 4. So they could actually hire 4 VAs at 40 hours a week at $8 an hour. And lastly, let's do a bigger business. I'm going to say that they're going to even go a little bit higher. Let's say $850. I'm going to say that they're going to maximize the VAs. They're going to make them work 60 hours a week. And they make about $50,000 a month in profit. So $600,000 for the year. You can see here that they can afford 5 full-time VAs that are working 60 hours a week, and they're paying them $850 an hour. Now, if they're able to get the VAs cheaper, let's see what happens here. At only 5, they can hire 9 virtual assistants, and because it's 9.62, they could really hire 9 full-time VAs working 60 hours a week and another VA at 30 hours a week, or maybe they wanted to hire 8 at 60 hours a week, and they'd be able to hire 2 at 40. So